Hi, I'm Lori.
And I'm Lisa, and we're with E.P.I.C, Empowering People, Inspiring Community. And today on our E.P.I.C Experts interviews, we are excited to have with us Susan C. Page of Eureka Herbals. Welcome, Susan.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
So why don't we start with you just telling us a brief description of your business and what it is that you offer people.
Okay. I am a master herbalist and the owner of Eureka Herbals. And what I do is I create herbal formulas and I make medicinal herbal tinctures to help people heal themselves.
Can you tell us a little bit more? You have a lot of really interesting things on your website for people to read about and learn more about herbs and just holistic health in general. And I saw a little tidbit on there that said that you were actually born on the day of the herb. So enlighten everyone as to what that means and then how that destiny has moved forward for you.
Oh, wow. That, I only found that out of, maybe 10 or 15 years ago. And I went to a metaphysical fair and they had these little booklets that were like the Aztec calendars. And they showed everybody's birthday, what that meant, what day of the year you were born. It was about your year. And I looked mine up and I was just like, oh my goodness, I can't even believe this. I was like, I was flabbergasted. I just couldn't even believe that. And, the first time I heard about herbs was when I was I don't know, it was like in the 70s. And my sister had gone to New York City to visit graduate school friends. And she came back and she says, oh, one of my friends was sick and we're driving around all night looking for an herb store. And at this time, there weren't a lot of herb stores. And she said she was looking for Echinacea golden seal because she felt she was getting sick. She was starting to get a cold. And for some reason, that just sparked my interest because I guess I was born on the day of the herb. So, I became so interested in herbs and I started looking them up and reading about them. And the only herb store around in New Jersey where I lived at the time was GNC. So I'd go there, and it just took off. That has just always been my passion, so yeah, so I guess Day of the Herb was right for me.
Great.
Given everything that's going on in the world right now, and speaking of specific herbs, what would be some of your recommendations, like just kind of generalized ones to help people kind of boost their immune system? And if they did feel something maybe, going on in their chest or lungs, what might you recommend for them?
Well, just helps everyone with, it doesn't matter if you have asthma, if we have forest fires and there's a lot of smoke, bronchitis, anything. So I would definitely recommend the lung formula because it's for the entire respiratory system. So it will help you be able to breathe better. I have immune support herb tincture, and so that will boost your immune system. And then I have one called ViraFlu, which is for viruses, flu, and colds. So that would be good if a virus is going around like now. And yeah, those three are probably the best right now, plus the pineal formula, which is good for, decalcifying the pineal gland, which is your spiritual gland, your connection to source and your higher self. So you want that connection always. And the problem with the pineal gland is they put fluoride in the water. I don't drink tap water, but they put fluoride in there and that calcifies the pineal gland. So it's always, important in times of stress. Well, all your life, it's important to have that connection, so I have those herbs, which are probably the best to take, I would say at this time.
Side note, I'm from Jersey as well.
Yeah, I know.
Um, can you tell us a little bit more about on your website you speak a lot about repairing and rebuilding the body, and can you give people some insights into how herbs do that? And I know there's like specific categories of herbs like tonics and stimulants, etc. Can you kind of go a little bit more into detail? I think sometimes people think like, oh yeah, I'm not gonna like stick those dandelions in my mouth and chew them up, or they have a little bit of a misconception about herbal medicine in general.
Right.
And it is medicine. And so if you could go a little bit more into the philosophy and things about how they do repair and rebuild, that'd be great.
Okay. Herbs are food for the body, same as, any food we eat. And what people don't realize is that we eat herbs all the time. An apple is an herb, walnuts are herbs. And then your spices, rosemary, thyme, all those. So they provide the body with nutrients they need. They're specific herbs for specific parts of the body. So like you mentioned, dandelion, which is good for the liver. So they used to, years ago, dandelion was always put in your spring salads because that cleansed you out after the long winter months. You didn't exercise as much, get out as much. So the whole herb, these plants were created for us by the Creator to use for food and medicine. And, it is mentioned in the Bible. Many herbs are mentioned in the Bible, but they just are so wonderful. They just still amaze me. They're just so powerful and wonderful what they can do for us, because they give us the nutrients that we need, and they help repair and rebuild the body. So they're not just covering up symptoms. They get to the root of the problem and help you to heal yourself. They're a tool for us, same as food, exercise. These are all tools for us to help us heal ourselves and stay healthy. And I do understand the thing about people afraid of herbs, because the American Medical Association and Western medicine has continually brainwashed us into thinking Western medicine is it, that's the thing. Well, Western medicine's the new kid on the block. Herbs have been around thousands of years, and animals use herbs. That's how indigenous people learned about herbs, was watching the animals use them, and then they started using them. So, they're here for a reason, these wonderful plants, and they're just amazing if you start to really research them and see what all they can do. I just love them.
and they're live, right? They have
Right.
innate intelligence, and it's really interesting. I mean, the ecosystem is the ecosystem for a reason, and things grow in certain areas for a reason. Yeah,
Right.
it's just fascinating. So yeah, and go ahead.
I was going to say, and you mentioned that, they're live, and they're organic, and our bodies are organic, whereas prescription drugs are a petroleum product. They're inorganic, and our bodies can accept them, but they can't assimilate them. So that's why you have so many side effects with them. They congregate around the joints, and they stay in the liver. So there's so many side effects with prescription drugs, but with herbs, they're very, very, very few, if any, because they're organic. So they're able to work with our bodies.
It seems like it's such a huge body of knowledge, and that there would be a lot to learn. So for one, I want to say I'm grateful for people like you who do take that on, as your passion in life, to help the rest of us, who don't have the time or the inclination to really study that body of knowledge. So what are some things that you do to sort of continue to learn and grow, and how do you interact with the herbs? Do you go and harvest them yourself, and or do you, like when you're making tinctures, where do the herbs come from? Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay. It is important to stay on top of things. So I'm constantly reading and researching. I have certain websites that I really like that I go to, and I have some magazines that give me a lot of current information, and I'm continually going to the library and researching new books that have come out. But I do some crafting of herbs, wild crafting, but mostly I buy herbs from a reputable company that has the quantity I need, and it's just easier for me to buy from them and then brew my herbs. And it's just really hard. I mean, I am still working and I'm also starting my business, so it's really hard to get out and do a lot of wild crafting, and a lot of herbs are up in the mountains and I don't have four-wheel drive, so but I think the herbs I get are very good and powerful herbs, so I'm happy with them.
Can you also talk a little bit about how you become a master herbalist? I know you went to a school in Utah, and I mean, I think, like Lori said, it's such a vast topic, and I don't, I think people think like, oh, somebody just put this together and randomly put it out there, and it's like it's an entire body of work and study. And so tell us a little bit more about how you became a master herbalist, and what that curriculum's about, basically.
Okay, well, back in the 70s, I didn't know there was such a thing as being an herbalist, so I didn't even think about going that route. It was just something I was interested in, and I just read about herbs for years and years and years, and I started making tinctures. But then I said, I really would like to get more structure and really take a class. And I started looking for schools in herbal magazines, and I finally narrowed it down to 3 schools. And I was just like, oh, I hope I choose the right one. I didn't know. And I read all the curriculum for the different schools. And then I just said, I really like this one, Dr. Christopher's School of Natural Healing. And so I signed up for it. And as soon as I got the first book and started reading, I knew I had chosen the right school. It was such an eye-opener, but I resonated with it so much, and I was just fascinated with it. And to really get some structured learning as opposed to just reading here and there was great. And I think as long as you know the basics, you can do it. And the basics are that herbs are out there for us, for our use. So let's use them, and they're just so amazing. One herb can do so many different things and help in so many different ways. And like here we have mullein, which most people know mullein. It has the big fuzzy leaves and then that tall stalk with the yellow flowers on it. And so the flowers are good. You can make an oil for the ears, for ear infections. Mullein, the leaves are good for the lungs. They're good for the glands. So most herbs just have this slew of things they can help you with. And that's what makes them so amazing. It's not just one thing for one herb and one thing for another herb. they're just so versatile, and I just love them. I just love them. So that always makes it, when you have the passion, you continue to learn and grow because you want to know more. And so that's.
And what are some of the avenues that you use to educate, either clients coming to you or the public in general about, herbs and what it is that you personally have to offer in your business?
Well, I believe in holistic healing. So that's mind, body, soul, spirit, emotions, everything. So I never just say, some people just know what they want and they'll request an herb, and other people will say, I have this issue going on. So I try to educate people as far as your diet, because what you choose to eat is going to affect your health. That drinking a lot of water is good. Water flushes toxins out of the body, as well as, our bodies are at least 70% water, so we need water. Exercise, we have to move. We have to, work our muscles and joints and everything. And we need to look at our emotions, what's going on in our lives, or what was going on when we started having this problem. Because emotions are so affected, they affect our physical body. And, we can get sick from stress. And, it's not just there's something out there. There's usually a reason we get sick, and a lot of it has to do with our emotions. And then our spiritual health is important, because we need to be in balance, our entire body, soul, spirit. We need to be in balance. So we need to look at everything. And I have a lot of articles and a lot of blog things on my website to help people to learn and help themselves to make the right choices. So that's, I really try to educate people. It's not just about taking the magic bullet, this one herb. Yes, they can help you, but let's look at the whole body, especially if you have a chronic disease, a chronic issue. Then you really want to look, what am I doing that I can change to make myself healthier and more balanced? So I do try to educate people in all these ways.
Can you talk a little bit about how you actually make a tincture? And I know you have 35 plus, remedies on your site that people can purchase. So how do you know, like, is it partially intuitive and partially from studying how to put those herbs in combination so that they can, work synergistically for that particular body system? Or tell us a little bit about how that unfolds.
Okay, you do need to learn about all the herbs so you know how to put them together. And to make an herbal tincture, I create the formula, which I love that creative process. And so I create a formula, and then I start brewing the herbs. And I usually brew starting on the new moon. And so I will put the herb in a canning jar. And so say I have 4 ounces of herb, there's a ratio for each herb. So a lot of them are 1 to 5. So that's 1 ounce of herb to every 5 ounces of liquid. And then it'll tell you like 60% alcohol. So if I have 4 ounces of herb, then I want 4 times 5, I want 20 ounces of liquid. And if it's 60% alcohol, that would be 12 ounces of alcohol. And then the remainder 8 ounces would be water. And I use distilled water because that pulls more of the nutrients and minerals out of the herbs. Excuse me. Hold on. So you put this all in a canning jar and you shake it every day, several times a day. And then when the full moon comes around, that's when I press them. So you press the liquid out of the herbs, and that becomes your tincture. And then the herbs are just given back to Mother Earth. And so that becomes your tincture. And then when you combine all the different herbs to, according to your formula, and that becomes the tincture that you sell.
That's it's really fascinating to me. I want to ask, and this probably goes back to the previous question a little bit, because it sounded almost like you were answering it when I was asking you about what you do to educate people, because we have a lot in common with our missions. So how do you see what you do aligning with the mission of E.P.I.C?
Well, we're all working to help heal the world and make it a better place. And when you're healthy and happy and can live an abundant life, spiritually, physically, mentally, emotionally, that's going to heal the world. That's what we need. We need people to be happy and healthy and spiritually connected. And that's what we're all trying to do. I'm trying to do it with, my herbs to physically heal, but I incorporate, it's holistic. So I incorporate everything. And you're more spiritual but you also have information on, holistically every part of the body and soul, spirit. So I think, everybody's doing their part in their own way of what their passion is to help heal the world. That's what we're all doing, is healing the world. Yay.
Can you give us a few examples of like maybe some of your favorite herbs and, what they're good for in particular, and maybe, how you've seen it help people?
Oh, well, cayenne is a fantastic herb, and it's a stimulant. So it really stimulates the body, and it helps the other herbs get in there because it's stimulating. Come on, let's go. We got to heal this person. But so I'll tell you what happened with me one time. I was in the library and I was squatting down. I was reading all the books on the bottom shelf for so long. And then when I stood up, I got a little vertigo and I kind of started blacking out. And I was reaching for the shelf, and that's the last thing I remember. And the next thing I know, the librarian's picking me up off the floor. That was the one and only time I've ever fainted. I couldn't even believe it. And so they kept asking me if I was okay. I sat there for a while. A friend came and picked me up, and we're driving home. We were still in town, and I said, I'm going into shock. And I don't know how I knew I was going into shock, but I did, because I've never been in shock before. But I said, I'm going into shock. I said, I need some cayenne because it'll snap you out of shock. And he said, well, don't you have some at home? And I go, yes. I said, but I need it now. So he went in the store for me. He brought some out. My vision was getting fuzzy. I couldn't hear well. I was cold. I was shaking. I was going into shock. And he brought the cayenne, and I took some, and fortunately I had some water in the car because cayenne's really hot. And I drank a little water, and within 10 seconds, I was fine. I just needed just this little bit of cayenne, and then I was fine. And cayenne can stop a heart attack. And I used to carry it in my purse all the time, but it got to be kind of a problem. But I thought, if anybody out there is having a heart attack, this herb will help them. And Dr. Christopher used to say he never lost a patient to a heart attack because, he always had cayenne, or could tell them to, take cayenne. Even sometimes black pepper will substitute to help, that stimulate that heart and everything. So cayenne's a wonderful herb. Lobelia is just such a wonderful herb. It's a master herb. It tells the other herbs what to do. It's a very intelligent herb. So I put it in a lot of my formulas because it's the great director. You know, it directs the herbs. We need to go here because, like I said, the herbs do different things for different parts of the body, but lobelia will say, okay, problem's in the kidneys, let's go, you know, and it directs the herbs there. So lobelia is absolutely one of my favorites. Cayenne and lobelia I'd want with me always. And then it's so hard to, you know, pick and choose what are your favorites. They're probably my top two, but then after that, everything is my favorite. So I love them all.
Well, yeah, that was an amazing story about your fainting. You know, I have very little knowledge of herbs. I have some knowledge, but I did not know that about cayenne. That's really fascinating.
Mhm.
You talked a little bit about, you know, how you first got interested and then later taking classes and kind of how things have unfolded for you. So if you could go back in time with everything that you know now, is there any advice that you would give your younger self?
You betcha. As I said, at that time, yeah, I didn't know much about herbs. That was you know, my first introduction to herbs. There weren't health food stores around. I didn't know any herbalists. I didn't know a lot of natural healers. And so, you know, I just started researching on my own. But what I would tell my younger self is learn what you can do with what you love. You know, do what you love, do what you enjoy, do what your passion is. See, my parents, my household that I was raised in, very academic. So, you know, you're going to college, what are you going to take? What does the college offer you? You know, both my parents were college professors, so going to college was a given. And then what was the curriculum? Well, herbs were never part of the curriculum, you know, and I didn't know anything about it, but I would tell myself and young people today, find what you're interested in and then do the research. What can I do? We have the internet now, you know, so you're not limited to just doing one thing just because you like plants. You don't have to be an herbalist. You can be a botanist. You can just do numerous things. So I would have wished that I had checked more into what I could do with herbs, but I wasn't in that mindset, you know. So, but I would definitely do that and start much earlier with doing what I love.
Another question about, I mean, what's the difference? You know, like you talked about people take rosemary and thyme and cayenne, you know, regularly in their diet and they think it's just for flavor. And we know from talking to you, there's all these medicinal qualities to it. So, uh, what's the difference between somebody just adding some of those to their food, you know, on a regular basis versus actually taking a tincture and having someone like you help personalize that plan for them?
Well, medicinal tinctures are the alcohol in them helps them get right into the bloodstream and start to work. And you're going to take them in more quantity than just sprinkling a little here and there on your potatoes or whatever. You know, so you're actually going to be taking them regularly on a regular basis, a regular schedule. And that's the main difference. But it's just in a different form from sprinkling it on your food and taking it in a medicinal tincture or taking it in tea form or whatever. It's more the quantity and knowing. Then too, also with the tinctures, you're taking other herbs which are working together with, you know, the main herb that whatever your problem is that's helping. So you have all these herbs working together to help really heal yourself, as opposed to just sprinkling a little something here and there. But it's all food for the body, and it's all good. At least you're getting some in there. So that's good.
So we asked if, going back, what advice you would give your younger self. So now let's go in the opposite direction. Let's fast forward 10 or 20 years, and you're looking back, and what is it that you see is your greatest achievement or greatest gift to the community?
Well, I intend to help heal the world, and my intention is to get my herbs out into the world. I want to really get them out there, because I've heard over and over again, people have told me my herbs helped them when others didn't, even when prescription drugs didn't help them. I know my herbs are powerful and effective. My family and I have been using them forever, and my friends. So I know, I've heard, clinical tests, people come back from their blood work. Oh my gosh, I'm back normal. And so I want to get my herbs out into the world as much as I can to help people heal themselves. Every person's responsible for their own health and their own healing, but the herbs can help them if they choose to go that route. Same as, with your diet and exercise. So, I see myself as having helped more people than I have now. That's my intention, to help as many people as I can. Let's heal this world and make it a wonderful place for everybody.
So with that said, can you tell people how they can reach you on your website, or any other ways that they can get in touch with you?
Yes, my website is eurekaherbals.com, and I have a contact form on there, so you can ask me a question. And if you're local, you don't have to purchase online and pay shipping. I think that's kind of, shipping's expensive. So I will, I can meet you somewhere. I will deliver the herbs to you. And I'm on Facebook, and I am going to start working on trying to start doing videos, because I do want to educate people. So I want to start doing videos. I'm going to be looking into that soon and trying to get that started. But Facebook and my website right now is basically the main ways to get a hold of me.
Great. Thank you, Susan. We're so grateful that you joined us today. And if you are interested, contact Susan at eurekaherbals.com. And for more information on E.P.I.C, go to epicmag.org. Thank you.
Thank you
so much. And thank you for mentioning, people taking responsibility for their health. That is definitely something, a sentiment that we share. And as I teach Reiki, I have a similar philosophy. I tell people you not only have a right, but a responsibility to manage your own energy field.
Exactly. Yes. Yes. Thank you so much. I'm grateful to both of you for what you do and how you're helping to heal the world. So thank you very much. I really appreciate this.
Thank you.
Thank you, Susan.
Thank you. Namaste.